All right, let's get into it. Today, we're cracking open the playbook of some of the world's most successful self-made people. We've taken hours and hours of interviews with millionaires and billionaires and boiled it all down into a guide on how they think, how they build, and ultimately how they win. So let's dive right in. First things first, who are we even learning from here? Look, these aren't just motivational speakers. These are people who have built actual empires, basically from scratch. So when a tech entrepreneur just casually says she's not a millionaire but a billionaire, yeah, you tend to pay attention. Or how about Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx? She took $5,000 of her own money and turned it into a company she sold for over $1 billion. I mean, the scale of these successes is just, it's mind-boggling. And look, this isn't just about some fuzzy company valuation on paper. We're talking about actual take-home cash. A mogul over in Dubai told us he personally pocketed $100 million last year. Those are the kinds of numbers that just change the entire game. So, okay, they've got the money, we get it, but that's the result, right? It's not the cause. The real question we have to ask is, what's going on in their heads? What is the mental operating system that even leads to this kind of success? Let's dig into that foundation. This is the starting line. Before you even think about a business plan, before that first sale, and way before any billion-dollar exit, there is a very specific mindset. You can think of it as the engine that powers everything else. You know, a millionaire from Atlanta gave us this incredible piece of advice. He said, the biggest way to kill a big dream is to introduce it to a small mind. Just think about that for a second. It means you have to be so careful who you share your biggest ambitions with. Sometimes even the people who love you most, you know, they're trying to protect you, but they can end up crushing your dream before it even gets off the ground. And this quote from Sarah Blakely just nails it. This is the absolute core of the mindset. Remember, she started Spanx with just her own $5,000. She didn't take any outside money for 21 years. She wasn't looking around for someone else to tell her it was a good idea. She told herself. At the end of the day, you have to be your own biggest investor. And I love this next piece of advice because the visual is just so powerful. Think about a racehorse, right? It wears blinders so it can't see the other horses. It's not getting distracted. It just runs its own race as fast as it can. In a world where we're constantly comparing ourselves to others, that ability to put the blinders on and just focus, that's a superpower. Okay, so mindset is one thing, but you gotta have the practical skills to back it up, right? So let's see how this all builds from mentality into actual mechanics. This is the playbook. This is a trap that so many brilliant people fall into. You could have the most amazing product, the best service in the entire world, but if nobody knows you exist, you're going out of business, period. Marketing is not some afterthought. It's just as important as the thing you're actually selling. So what are those first concrete steps? Well, we kept hearing the same 3 things over and over again. First, you need a legit business plan, not just an idea, but a real roadmap. Second, you have to know your numbers, your costs, your margins, inside and out. And third, you have to be relentless. As one guy put it, you have to be so ready for the opportunity that you just cannot and will not take no for an answer. All right, so you've got the mindset, you've got the fundamentals down, your business is actually making money. That's awesome. Now what? Well, the next mountain to climb is scaling, how you go from a successful business to a massive, massive operation. Just to give you an idea of what scale really means, look at this number, $13 billion. That's what a company like Chipotle is on track to make in a single year. I mean, how on earth do you even manage something that big without it all just falling apart? So how do they do it? Well, the CEO of Chipotle shared this absolute gem of a management lesson. He said, you have to know the difference between responsibility and accountability. A whole team can be responsible for getting something done, but only one person can be accountable. That way, there's no confusion, no finger pointing, someone always owns it. And that leads perfectly into delegation. And you'll never guess where this next piece of advice came from. A former mob boss, Michael Francis. But it's a universal truth for scaling any enterprise. You simply cannot do it all yourself. The real key is to figure out what you're truly great at and then build an amazing team to handle everything else. All right, making money is awesome, but keeping it and growing it, that's a whole different ballgame. It requires a completely different set of skills. This next part is all about how the wealthy manage, protect, and multiply their capital. This right here is the question that separates the people who are rich for a little while from the families that are wealthy for generations. Earning the money is really only half the battle. So how do you make sure that wealth not only sticks around, but actually grows? We talked to a guy who used to manage money for billionaires on Wall Street, and he broke it down for us. Generally, about 80% of their money is in things like stocks and bonds. Then about 10% is in cash, just for flexibility. And that last 10% is in alternatives, like real estate. But the main takeaway is pretty clear. Their money is never just sitting there. It always has a job to do.
And this is where the strategy gets really, really smart. It's not just about offense, investing to make more money. It's also about playing defense. It's about actively structuring your life to protect your assets from risk, from lawsuits, and from one of the biggest drains on wealth, paying too much in taxes.
Okay, this might be one of the biggest secrets we learned. A real estate billionaire told us she owns over 50 LLCs. And you're probably thinking, why on earth would anyone do that? Well, it's a two-part answer. First, each LLC acts like a legal shield, separating her personal stuff from her business stuff. So if one property gets sued, everything else is safe. But here's the other part. It's a massive tool for tax optimization. She can manage expenses, depreciation, and profits way more efficiently inside those structures. The wealthy don't just earn more, they build legal fortresses to keep more of what they earn. So that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. And honestly, it might be the most important one. This isn't just about getting rich. It's about why you're doing it in the first place. It's about playing the long game. This quote really just sums it all up, doesn't it? The ultimate goal here isn't just a bigger bank account. It's about building something that's going to outlast you. It's about creating a legacy that provides shade for people you might not even get to meet. So there you have it. The playbook is on the table. They've shared the mindset, the strategies, the whole philosophy. They've built their legacies. So the only real question left is, what are you going to do with it? How will you start building yours?